Seated. Thank you very much. A lot of spirit in this room. A lot of spirit, for good reason. We're gathered together on this solemn occasion to fulfill our most reverent and sacred duty. 35 years ago, 241 American service members were murdered in the terrorist attack, our Marine barracks in Beirut, Lebanon. It was a very sad period of time. These are great, great people. Today we honor our fallen heroes and pledge that their blessed memory will never die, but live instead in the hearts of our grateful nation forever. We are joined by, and for today's observers, and I'd like to introduce some of the outstanding people in our government and some that are outside of our government, starting off with Secretary of State Pompeo. Mike, where's Mike? Stand up, Mike. Thank you, great job. And he's been doing a lot of traveling. A very well-traveled man, aren't you, Mike, huh? Secretary of Defense Mattis. Secretary of the Navy, Richard Spencer. Richard? Thank you. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joseph Dunford. Hi, Joseph. Army Chief of Staff, General Mark Milley. Mark, thank you. Thank you, Mark. Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Robert Neller. Robert. Commandant of the Coast Guard, Admiral Carl Schultz. And Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, Ronald Green. Ronald? As well as my Chief of Staff and a beloved Marine. He loves the Marines, John Kelly. John? And much more important, a great wife and a great mother. Karen, please stand up. Karen. Great woman. Great man, great woman. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. And thanks to the French ambassador to the United States, Gerard Aurot, for being here. Gerard, where are you, Gerard? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I just spoke to your president. I just spoke to President Macron, and he's doing well. He sends his regards. I also want to recognize two very special retired Marines who led with extraordinary valor in the wake of the Beirut terrorist attack, Colonel Tim Garrity and General Al Gray. See that? They all love you. We're also truly thankful to have with us the veterans of Beirut, who really, I mean, this is an incredible group. I'm going to ask you to stand. You courageously survived that terrible October day, and you have made it your first duty to remember. Please stand. Please stand. Such incredible spirit. I see hugging and kissing. I think it's fantastic. That's what love is, right? That's real love. That's the kind of love we like. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Great, great people. Most importantly, we're joined by the families of those who made the ultimate sacrifice for us. Please stand, please. Wow. Wow, that's great. That's really great. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's great. Incredible. To every Gold Star family, today we pay tribute to the heroes you knew and loved. We grieve and mourn by your side, and we honor the immortal sacrifice of 241 heroes who gave their lives for our freedom. Thank you for being here very much. In 1983, roughly 1,800 Marines were in Beirut to keep the peace in a nation torn apart by civil war. Terrorists had bombed the U.S. Embassy earlier that year, killing 63 people, including 17 Americans. For the 300 Marines stationed at the Beirut airport, the morning of October 23rd arrived like any other. The Marines on guard stood there and at their posts. Others slept peacefully in their bunks until suddenly, and without warning, a truck driven by a terrorist crashed through the fences and barricades and into the lobby of the Marine barracks. At 6:22 a.m., the terrorist detonated the equivalent of 1,200 pounds, commonly known as 12,000 pounds. That's a lot, and it's terrible, of explosives, killing 3 American soldiers, 18 American sailors, and 220 United States Marines. That was a horrible moment. Minutes later, another truck bomb took the lives of 58 French paratroopers. It was the single deadliest day for the Marines since Iwo Jima. The attack was carried out by Hezbollah, which Iran was instrumental in founding a year earlier to advance its radical agenda and remain its main patron today. And we are doing a big number on Iran today, in case you haven't noticed. Thank you very much. I'll tell you what, they're not the same country they were when I took office. I will tell you that. They're rioting in their streets, their money's collapsed, their lives are a lot different, and they're not looking so much for the Mediterranean. And when I took office, they were looking for the Mediterranean. They were going to take over everything. Now they want to survive. Whole different deal, folks. It's a whole different deal. No terrorist group other than Al-Qaeda has more American blood on its hands. The service members who died that day include brave young Marines just out of high school, accomplished officers in the middle of their military careers, and enlisted men who had served in theaters all over the world. But they formed one united military family, defending their nation, serving their fellow Americans, and wearing their uniform with dignity and pride, such incredible pride. Each of these heroes died as they lived, as noble warriors. They were warriors whose hearts were filled with courage and whose souls were rich with love. The United States Marines are often the first to deploy, the first into danger, and the first to fight. And on that morning, 35 years ago, they were among the very first to give their lives in the battle against radical Islamic terrorism, the battle that we are winning and we will win. And I have to point out, and I can do this for General Kelly, General Mattis, and everybody here, that we are doing very well in our fight against ISIS. They are virtually knocked out entirely in Syria. Another short period of time, they'll be gone. And also in Iraq and in lots of other places, we have stepped up the fight to a level that even General Mattis was very happy to get that order. Is that right, General? We've done a very strong number. So, radical Islamic terror. As Commander-in-Chief, I will always ensure that our service members have the tools, resources, equipment, support, and trust they need to protect this nation and to defeat America's enemies with overwhelming force. No enemy on earth can match the strength of our military or the might of our Marines. We will use every instrument of our national power to confront the sinister forces of terrorism. That is one reason why last year I withdrew the United States from the Iran nuclear disaster. On November 5th, all U.S. sanctions against Iran lifted by the nuclear deal will be back in full force. Every sanction that we had on there originally, which would have, if they would have just left it a little bit longer, would have been so much easier than what we've been through over the last number of years. All they had to do is leave it the way it was. It was eating them away. But we've started it all over again, and it'll be just as good. We've wasted time and lives, unfortunately. And they will be followed up with even more sanctions to address the full range of Iran's malign conduct. We will not allow the world's leading sponsor of terror to develop the world's deadliest weapons. Will not happen. Over the past year, we have levied the highest number of sanctions ever imposed on Hezbollah in a single year, by far. Just a few moments ago, I signed legislation imposing even more hard-hitting sanctions on Hezbollah to further starve them of their funds, and they are starving of funds. We will target, disrupt, and dismantle their operational and financing networks, of which they had plenty. They don't have plenty now. And we will never forget what they did to our great Marines in Beirut. We will never forget. In the days after the attack, very brave General Al Gray traveled to more than 150 funerals of his beloved Marines who perished in the Beirut bombing. On one of those trips, he arrived at Maxwell Gunter Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. There he joined the hour-long funeral procession to transport a fallen Marine to his final resting place in a small town near Auburn, Alabama. On that long drive, General Gray witnessed a sight that would stay with him forever. Throughout the entire journey, along both sides of the highway, for miles and miles of country road, as far as the eye could see, everyday citizens who came by the thousands were lined up to pay their highest respects. They were waving flags, holding their hands also over their hearts, and standing in silent salute to our great fallen Marine heroes. This outpouring of love and devotion was but a small measure of the eternal gratitude of our nation. In all of our history, no figure has ever lived with more grace and courage than the men and women who serve our country in uniform. They are God's blessing to us all. They are God's blessing. They are incredible people. Each of the Gold Star families here today carries on the remarkable legacy of their loved ones. You care for your families, you serve your communities, you support one another, you persevere, and you overcome, and I know you very well. You win. You just know nothing but winning. I know the people, some of the people in this room, they just know how to win. And you keep the memory of our heroes alive. So this evening, we pay tribute to your service, we honor your sacrifice, and we say on behalf of all Americans, thank you. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your strength. Thank you for your devotion. Thank you for your love that is greater than life itself. And thank you for remembering us all what it means to live like our heroes, forever brave, forever strong, and always, always, always faithful. Thank you once again, and God bless you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, folks. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, Mr. President, thank you, our elected Commander-in-Chief, a man who loves his military, and it's so obvious here tonight, and you can see they love you back, Mr. President. And Mr. President, thanks for highlighting our great ally, France, here tonight. They've stood with us like stalwarts through all these years, and Mr. Ambassador, great to have you here as well. It is a somber occasion, we all know that. I was driving down a road in Newport, Rhode Island on Navy duty. That's pretty nice duty, General. Thanks for sending me there. And I heard the bombing, the news of the bombing. I had little idea that I would shortly be the casualty notification officer for near over a half a dozen of the Rhode Island lads that were lost in that bombing. And I would just say to the Gold Star parents, the Gold Star families, the Gold Star brothers, sisters, sons and daughters, those who lived on after their loved ones were taken away from them far too soon, we want you to know that we will always hold in our hearts your family's sacrifice. We do not forget in the United States government, we do not forget in the U.S. military, and I guarantee our Commander-in-Chief does not forget. It was 35 years ago. It was a deadly day for us, and they crashed two bomb-laden trucks, one into our barracks, one into the French paratrooper barracks, and the cost was enormous in paratroopers, Marines, sailors, and soldiers. And looking back on that day, I think we know that the ultimate test of a person's character is their willingness to sacrifice for future generations whose thanks they will never hear. And so today, it's our responsibility to acknowledge the irredeemable debt of gratitude that we owe to those who we lost in Beirut and to their families here today. And the President's words, you captured the spirit of them very, very well, Mr. President. So we gather to remember them all. We remember those who in the immediate aftermath of the blast, some of whom are here today, combed through the wreckage with their bare hands to save the wounded, and from their fellow U.S. brothers in arms, the Italian soldiers, the Lebanese soldiers who came to our aid, the civilians there, the French personnel who, despite the casualties they had just sustained, came to the place that had been harder hit and pitched in. We remember the wounded who returned from Beirut, Mr. President, never wavering in their commitment to our cause of liberty. Then the Commandant of the Marine Corps of those days was a General P.X. Kelly, and he went to the hospital to see the ones who had survived, and he encountered a young Marine Corporal, Lance Corporal, Jeffrey Nashton, lying in the hospital bed. He was in critical condition. He was nearly blind. He was unable to talk. And upon learning it was his commandant who'd walked in the room, Lance Corporal reached up to touch the 4 stars on his collar to confirm that it was really him. He confirmed it. He asked for a piece of paper. He waved for a writing, and he wrote on that piece of paper, Semper Fi. And Mr. President, General Kelly and I knew personally some of the Marines there that day, but we know all of those Marines' character, the character that was made clear in those 2 simple words that the Lance Corporal wrote down. And I saw the same character when I had to go with the most devastating news a family can hear in their living room as the casualty officer for more than a half dozen of those boys, and to those families of those who did not return home, whose memories we honor. Your sons have lived on in our hearts and our minds, and we will not forget them. The tracks that they set will not be eroded by wind or rain, and to them we say, sleep, soldiers, still in honored rest, your truth and valor wearing. The bravest are the tenderest, the loving are the daring. So thank you, Mr. President, for leading this tribute here today. And I'd like to invite to the podium Father George Puparelli. Come on up, Father. The chaplain of those Marines, Mr. President, who was there that day the building came down. Padre?
Thank you. Yes, thank you. That's great. Thank you. Beautiful. Yes, sir.
Let us pray. Dear Lord our God, you know everything. You read the minds and hearts of all of us here this evening. And you know the minds and hearts of those who are in your arms, those young, vibrant faces who went over to a distant land to try to promote peace and harmony to peoples riddled with strife and violence, destruction. But Lord, you know all things. Take those young heroes of ours, put them in a very special place in your heavenly kingdom, paradise where light, warmth, and joy reside forevermore. Lord, you said once, blessed are the peacemakers, for they are children of God, and so are our boys. Hold them dearly, Lord, and watch over them and bless them in a very special way in your kingdom. But Lord, also bless this evening our president. Shine upon him wisdom and courage and strength. Yes. And bless our Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State. Lord, watch over our armed forces, for all those flags that stand vividly behind me. Lord, be with them and protect them wherever they may be sent out by our country with the clear mind and heart of peace and justice and righteousness for everyone, those within this country and those throughout the world. Lord, bless those General Gray, Colonel Tim Garrity, General P.X. Kelly, and Lieutenant Colonel Larry Gerlach. Lord, bless them, because we would follow them today if this was the day to go. Lord, watch over our armed forces. Watch over all of those who mean so much to us. Watch over all these who have made this night possible. For all the efforts and sacrifices that went into this evening, thank you and bless them in a very special way. But also bless each and every one of the relatives and friends and survivors of the Beirut bombing. Lord, their hearts are always, lest we ever forget. We are made with human minds, Lord. We shall never forget this. But my prayer here this evening is for our young people. Lord, they are our new country, our new generation. And by their efforts and by their looking upon our heroes this evening, by their efforts, they can make this country great and the world a better place to live in. Amen. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'll follow you out. Get out. He said it. I didn't say it. He said it. I just want to thank you. Just outstanding people, outstanding families. We love you all. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
right, folks, thank you so much for joining us and choosing us as your stream of choice. The president delivering his speech at the 35th anniversary of the attack of the Beirut barracks, folks. As you guys can see, everybody was there. Everybody was pumped. I love these type of speeches because, you know, they're always such high energy. The military, the folks, our heroes, our veterans, they're always so pumped. And I just love the energy that they bring in. And this is one of those speeches, like the ones that we do when he's delivering the Congressional Medal of Honor, or maybe he's talking at a place where there's a lot of military veterans and you know, active military guys and gals. They're always such high energy, and it just brings such good positive energy. So I love these speeches. But anyways, thank you so much for choosing us as your stream of choice. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are new to the channel, subscribe. We welcome you. Also click the notification bell. That way you get a heads up when we go live. I'm sorry, I turned it off. There's going to be a Trump rally tomorrow, so make sure you do not miss it live here at Golden State Times. I'll give you guys the updated schedule for the Trump rallies in just a second. All right, folks, so this is the updated rally schedule for the next few days. Tomorrow, Friday, October the 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, we're going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then after that, we are going to be in Murfreesboro, Illinois on Saturday, October the 22nd, 2018 at 3:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Again from Illinois. And then the other rally is going to happen on Halloween. So it's Wednesday, October the 31st, 2018 from Fort Myers, Florida at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. So make sure you guys join us for those rallies. If you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe. We welcome you to the family, and also click the notification bell. If you've been with us for a while, make sure you're still subscribed. I heard from a lot of different YouTubers that YouTube has been unsubscribing folks. So make sure that you guys check the subscribe button below the video and you make sure that it's still gray instead of red. If it's red, it means that you're unsubscribed from the channel. So make sure you're subscribed and the notification bell is on. That way you can get notified when we go live for these Trump rallies, for any events from the White House, press briefings, State Department press briefings from the Pentagon. All that stuff is always streamed live here at Golden State Times. Thank you so much, folks. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the rally in Charlotte, North Carolina at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, live here at Golden State Times. Thank you so much to the moderators for coming out, keeping the chat clean and enjoyable for everyone. I'll see you guys soon, folks. Peace.